What's up, people? We are live with the MMA Mainstream Podcast. I'm James, of course, with my co-host Kaelyn. Kaelyn, how you doing?
Good. It's Father's Day, and
That's true. Special
it's hot
Father's Day
outside.
edition.
Yeah.
It's Central California. It's always hot around this time. If it was anything else, global warming would be a huge problem. Just saying. But shout out to all the fathers out there. Thanks. It is Father's Day. This is a special edition. We are set to have Tyler Miller join us a little bit later for an interview, but we're going to get into things right now with what's been going on in the world of combat sports since we haven't had a show. We didn't have a show last week.
Last week we didn't.
I can't remember. Did we have a show the week before? Which I'm pretty sure we did. So
Did we? Okay.
yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. I'm so bad with dates. You have to, if you tell me happy birthday, oh, it's my birthday. Oh, that's right. Thanks. I'm glad you remembered because I certainly didn't. It just runs together. Oh, we got some love from Mr. Tom Owens. Says happy Father's Day. Thanks, Tom. I'm not a dad, but I appreciate it. Oh, man. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into things. Let me pop it up for us. We had the UFC last night. And we had Jared Cannonier versus Marvin Vettori. I thought Vettori was going to win, purely based on his skills. But from what I was reading about the fight, Cannonier came out with punches and bunches.
There's a very high count of significant strikes going on there with that one. I don't know if you're able to pull that up, but
total strikes. It says total strikes 257. It basically was 60% of 428 strikes altogether overall.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Significant strikes out of that 257 was 241.
Gosh. What? Yeah.
What surprises me is that it went 5 rounds.
Yeah.
That Vettori basically, it seemed like he offered no offense. Although he had 154 strikes with 153 significant strikes. They both scored takedowns. Let's not get it twisted. You had Vettori with 1 and then Cannonier with 4. Holy smokes.
Very, very competitive fight.
For 5 rounds, very much.
Yeah, I caught the, not the actual fight, but the post show. So Cannonier came on there to the desk and was talking with the 3 hosts there, and he still looked in pretty good shape. Wasn't out of it or anything. Even one of the guys is like, "Let me see your hands." So he showed his hands looked untouched. It was crazy. So
that's nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts. You'd think they'd be all swollen or maybe even broken in some kind of way, but they look perfectly normal. I didn't see them talk to Vettori. I don't know if they did or not, but judging from the results, it seemed like it was a pretty crazy fight. I do want to go back and watch it. I got in so late last night and I had it on, but as I was going to sleep, so of course I miss it.
Hey, it's all right. It happens. Let's see.
If it's not a pay-per-view, I might be missing it. I don't know.
It happens. I completely get it. Especially because they happen so often.
Every weekend, yep.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the next thing we have coming up. The UFC Fight Night coming up with Josh Emmett versus Ilya Topuria. What?
Ilya Topuria.
Topuria.
Yeah.
So Josh Emmett coming off a loss. Ilya's coming off of a win. Ilya's undefeated at 13-0. Josh Emmett is 18-3.
Yeah, I feel like Josh Emmett just fight. Did he not?
I feel like he did also.
At least in the last couple months, I think he did.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I think I know the undefeated is ranked number 9, but I think Josh Emmett is kind of at the peak of his game now. Although he has been for a while, I feel like it's just, number 5. I don't know how much more you have to do to break through to the rest of like number 4 through 1, but he's no easy fight. So I would pick Josh Emmett just because I think he's pretty established now.
Completely agree. Let's see. And then we have Amanda Ribas versus Macy Barber. That should be a good fight.
Macy Barber's always good. Amanda Ribas surprisingly is good. I don't hear so much about her, but when she does fight, she does pretty well. Whenever I do see her fight. So this is a flyweight, I think.
Yeah, number 9 versus number 11.
Okay, because it said like 133 or something. Like, hold on. But I always root for Macy Barber. I think she has some hiccups last few fights and a knee injury a little while ago. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully she keeps climbing to the top. But yeah, I think her whole thing was like, I'm going to be one of the youngest champions, although I don't know if that has passed her up by now. But
that's a good question.
Not sure. Not that it matters, but anyway, I always go with Macy Barber. I like her a lot. I've liked her ever since I've seen her fight on the Contender Series.
Just scrolling through here real quick. We also have Neil Magny on the card, along with Justin Tafa.
Another good one.
Yeah. Another female fight, Tabitha Ricci versus Gilliland Robertson.
No one talks about her. Although whenever you do see her fight, she is getting a submission. I think she needs a little more recognition for that. I had recently, she was on a podcast. I think it was Joe Rogan's podcast, which I thought was cool because I've always wanted to know more about her, but no one ever gives her interviews, and she's very, she's not out there. She's kind of quiet. So I've since she was on The Ultimate Fighter, I've been watching her, always getting submissions, always. And it's interesting to see where she's going to go. So she's another one to look out for.
All right. That's the upcoming fight night this coming Saturday on the 24th. And now we're going to backpedal a little bit to talk about Bellator because we had fights on Friday with Yoel Romero versus Vadim Nemkov, and Nemkov would get the win over Romero, which, dude, Nemkov is just this, okay, there's only so much we really talk about with Bellator because they only have fights so often.
Right.
Nemkov is one of these guys I feel like that has literally come out of nowhere and quietly been dominant in the division, in the light heavy division. I shouldn't say lightweight, light heavyweight division. Especially to beat Yoel Romero, like the way he did, like, wow.
Yeah, he's definitely tough. I don't know, man. Bellator, I don't know what it is that changed for me with Bellator. I have not been paying attention to it. I don't see it
because it went to Showtime. Let's be honest. If you don't have Showtime, you're not watching it. And so because it's on Showtime, I'm not watching it. I don't have Showtime access.
I don't even know if I have Showtime or not. Maybe I do, but it's not like, oh man, let me get home, turn on Showtime to watch Bellator when UFC is just everywhere.
All the time.
ESPN Plus is real easy to use app that's just everywhere, and it has the name ESPN. So of course it's shared amongst the actual ESPN, way bigger than Showtime. Showtime, you would argue, is for boxing. But even then it's like, man, I don't know. I don't know what you do when you're an MMA promotion that's not UFC. Like, how do you become bigger than UFC, or at least compete with them as far as advertising and who your fighters are? Are there fighters, as Bellator fighters, doing interviews? Are they doing there's no show, there's no panel.
Okay, here I know where you're going with that, and I feel like there are things around the UFC that support it, like the embedded series, like the Ultimate Fighter, because the Ultimate Fighter does promote a fight later on. there's nothing for Bellator that helps promote Bellator fights.
Which is crazy because, hello, there's YouTube. Why can't you just do a freaking interview with all the main card fighters to promote the upcoming fight? Oh, man. There's so many times where I didn't care about a UFC fighter, but once I watched the embedded, I'm like, oh, I'm invested now, you know?
Yeah, because they give you a look behind the curtain of how they prep for a fight. And of course, that's, as we are fight fans, that is very interesting to us because we want to see every facet of their process. And that's what we get to see with the embeddeds. Whereas with Bellator, it's just like, here's this guy. Well, I want to know more about this guy. How do I learn more about this guy besides you telling me about him?
Yeah.
They should have an embedded type show.
They should.
I feel like, in order to help, but then that's also more in the way of production costs. So,
I mean, do you care about it?
I mean,
but it's like, how much do you care about your promotion? Like, people know what Bellator is. I bet if you, I mean, people can rattle off names of the UFC fighters like pretty easily. I think if you were to ask someone the same thing about Bellator who doesn't really know, like, there's no, like, a casual fan of Bellator. How much do you think they know about the Bellator fighters? I don't know. In my opinion,
I don't think they could name a Bellator fighter, but if you ask not even just a fan, you ask a generic person to name a UFC fighter, honestly, I feel like the first person that come out of their mouth is going to be Conor McGregor.
Or Conor McGregor, either of those two. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Conor McGregor is an easy one. He's in multiple different industries, but I don't know, man. And I don't even know if they're even concerned about like their marketing or anything like that. But even just utilizing YouTube, I'm sure was not that big of a, I don't know.
I feel like it's not something they go after or try as a way of promotion.
Bellator fights happen all the time. Do we know about every single one? No, I feel like I don't. You know?
No, they happen like once every other month, and they're almost at 300.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I feel like they should make a big deal out of that, but that's me.
Yeah. I don't know. I like fighting, but if, UFC does a really good job at making sure it's in your face every day. It'd be cool if, and I'm not saying to manufacture anything that's not actually there, but there's actual beef between some fighters in UFC. Are there any of that in Bellator? Is there anything interesting going on that would make someone want to watch Bellator or invest in any of those fighters? I don't know. I think they're missing for all the MMA organizations, they're missing a huge part of that. I think that would help out if they're even concerned. I don't know. Maybe they're not concerned.
We do have a comment. JJ Madrid commented, Bellator is always a fun surprise. Never know when their fights are, but excited when it's there. You're right about that. You're definitely right about that.
You don't know when they're coming. Fun surprise. That's exactly
when I've been to Bellator fights, I mostly enjoyed, of course, when it's live. I've been to quite a few Bellator fights live. Those are always the most fun.
Those are great.
But it's also a live fight atmosphere. That is always fun. Bellator, when they have them, they're good. They're exciting fights, but also when do they have them? But it's what are they doing to develop the event overall rather than just here's an event. Like, I want to know more about Nemkov. I know a little bit from what the guys tell us, the commentators tell us. I want to know how his training goes, who he trains with. I could look all that up, but I feel like that should also be pushed out by Bellator brass as a way to get the information out there and to put more eyes on the product.
Yeah, man. And it's not hard. I don't know a lot about that kind of thing, but I don't think it's hard to documentate a fighter and his journey through his fight camp and his record and his family life, maybe throw in here and there. That always makes it a little more exciting. Where he's from, man, that is just a lot of that. Half of that is just so interesting to know where those guys came from and why they are where they are now, Yeah. And that's God, that comment's so funny because it's like, it's a fun surprise. I'm like, man, what? Like, I want to know about it beforehand, though. Maybe make the effort to sit down and watch it rather than say, "Oh, is this on tonight?" Oh, cool. But Showtime, such a bad move. Like, I am not checking. for the people that are saving money, are cutting all their apps, that they don't really need or use, like Showtime and those other ones, I always keep ESPN because it has UFC on it, the ESPN Plus app.
And ESPN has everything.
It's worth it to me because it's let's face it, I don't know, what is it, $10 a month now? Whatever, I'll pay that for just know all the shit that I can watch on there for UFC. That's what drives me into buy the damn pay-per-view, or the Ultimate Fighter when that thing's going on, which we could talk about also. That was one of our things. But I mean, yeah, Bellator could be, and that goes for not just Bellator. Bellator, I think, is a more established MMA organization as opposed to like PFL. And I know one is getting up there. One is huge, although no one talks about it. I don't know. I want to see more documentaries on those guys, maybe leading up
more
to
behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just they're there when they're there and they're gone when they're gone.
Yeah.
And then you get all these recycled UFC fighters that are going in there, and that's where they go to die, basically.
But you can still promote them in such a way. I think the one thing that Bellator might have a hard time with is you have a lot of guys that are coming from overseas. And so
they're
hiring a production crew, even if it's freelance to there, might be a difficult thing to do. That's my only thought
as it
involves that.
They do have a lot of Russian fighters. I understand no one wants to go there. Although a lot of those Russian fighters are here now so that they can participate in sporting events. Get a freaking translator. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they do it for you.
But here's also the thinking too, whereas the Ultimate Fighter is on ESPN, correct?
ESPN Plus, yeah.
Okay, so it has a source for streaming.
Yes.
If they did that for Bellator, where would Bellator stream it? I don't know if it's still Paramount, because Paramount, when they were with Spike, had it, but it's Showtime now. So would Showtime stream it?
Yeah, they
you
should.
Still have to pay for that. Would you be able to put it on Paramount Plus? Like, how? I'm not sure how their contracts have worked in the way.
I don't know how the companies work.
Who has like the history of Bellator? Like, if I want to watch Bellator 1, where would I go to watch that?
Yeah, I get it. But if they're already utilizing Showtime or whatever, maybe that's even wrong. I don't know if they're on Showtime. Are they on Showtime?
They're on Showtime.
Okay.
But if they use Showtime production stuff, I mean, that's still a way of putting out a product, but yet you need it in a way that the general audience is going to be able to have access to it. So if they put it on YouTube, like you mentioned,
YouTube,
or if they had some other type of streaming or cable service that they could put out their product by. I thought they were supposed to do something with CBS, if I recall. I don't remember if I'm correct in that. But many companies have worked with CBS to do stuff, and they've tried like hell to promote those. I just don't know if they've ever done it
didn't
correctly.
CBS even put on that power slap bullshit for Dana White?
It was a CBS, that was TBS.
Oh, either way. Come on.
As it pertains to...
You're going to invest in that? Why don't you invest in Bellator? Jesus Christ.
But at one point, CBS did have Strikeforce, and they did those shows, quite a few of those shows, and those were awesome.
Yeah, those were. I don't know, man. They got to fix something. They're just, unless they're happy with where they're at. I don't know. I always think that when you see a UFC fighter go to Bellator, it's like, well, we're not going to hear from him ever again. Maybe he'll win a fight. Don't know when it's going to be.
Unfortunately, yeah, and it sucks that that's kind of how it is. That's what's expected. And not to sound like a dick, but that's also how it is with bare knuckle fighting. When a UFC goes a fighter goes to bare knuckle fighting, that's and that sucks.
Yeah, I think Bellator has a chance to be still up there and never mind bare knuckle, but I mean they're trying. Bellator has something and they're not utilizing it, so hopefully I would like to see them
figure it out,
get bigger.
Yeah, same. I completely agree with that. Because PFL is making a huge run for number 2.
Number 2, but what's number 2 if no one knows about it?
It's true.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
point.
fight for number 2. No one's going to hear about it still, you know?
Which also brings up what we were going to discuss about what Scott Coker was saying. Let me bring this up for us. About Bellator looking for a partner. PFL definitely in the conversation.
Why are you looking for, and okay, coming from our conversation we just had, why are you looking for a partner? Why are you in the position that you're in when you could be utilizing all this other stuff? But anyway.
Yeah, do they need the partner? Like, I mean, if they're looking for one, it sounds like they do. But there are things that they could do to enhance their product, or the visibility of their product, I should say.
Visibility for one. I mean, we even talk about it on our show and don't know anything about it, but it's MMA, somewhat mainstream.
I mean, we talk about bare knuckle, so I mean, we're willing to scrape the barrel on these things.
Like I said, UFC graveyard, only because old UFC fighters go there.
That's true. That's a valid point. So Bellator, we'd love to see you do more, because we appreciate you, and we want you to do more.
I feel like Bellator has more of a professionalism type of feel to it, because you get Dana White, who's kind of all over the place. He did this power slap, which I just reminded myself of it. God, that's god awful.
And how much you hated it.
Bellator could totally capitalize on that and be like, look at this lunatic. Why don't you watch us? We're more professional. Yeah, we do have UFC fighters. That's because they're not in UFC anymore. Now they're here. We'll give you what you want.
And I haven't heard much about Power Slap. I don't even know if it's still going.
Not that I don't like Dana White. I do like him. I just think he has some weird ideas that he can probably just drop. Make himself look more of a professional, since he fought for so long to be a professional in this kind of industry.
Yeah, he fought really hard, and then to have this, it's like,
It's like, yeah, I understand you have ideas. Not everybody likes them, though. And just because you have money, it doesn't mean it's going to take off. And he was saying how, this is how UFC started. No one believed in it. It's like the corporations didn't believe in it. The fans wanted it. With Power Slap, there are no fans. So where are you going? You have corporate.
I think there are fans, but it's also a slim margin of society that is like, you know what? I'm a fan of this. I thought it was entertaining at first, but then after having conversations with you, I was like, you know what? My thinking was wrong.
I stuck by my own principles. I did not watch it.
No, that's fine. And I'm glad you did, because that also swayed me, because after seeing the damage that happens.
I mean, if you like it, fine, watch it. Definitely watch it if you like it. I thought it was absurd that you would have someone. It was confusing, because Dana White was always about, let's be professional. This is going to be a professional sport, right? And we have referees for protection. We have rules for steroids, and we have regulations for things to make it as clean as possible. But never mind that. I'm going to go over here and do this thing where, like, you're just going to stand there and not protect yourself and see how many times it takes for you to fall down and get knocked out. And there'll be someone there to catch you and wheel you off the stage. But, whatever works. Like, it was, oh God, I don't know. And I know it was Dana White's idea. I hate him for that. And I like Dana White. Man,
I disagree with him going full bore into that, but that was I think for him he was like, well, I did the UFC, I helped with the UFC. I think this will be hugely successful, but it's more of a cringe factor than anything.
It went against all his principles as far as, we have this UFC we fought for, and it almost died, but it came back because the fans wanted it. It's like, yeah, for sure. And you have rules so that it's somewhat clean. You get tested for steroids. But it's like, you're also going to promote this thing where it's the exact opposite. And this guy is just going to stand there and take a hit. So you're promoting people to go get hurt, basically, for a paycheck now. Yeah, whereas
that's what UFC it feels like.
Will give you a fight. It's an opportunity. It will pay you a lot of money. Learn how to protect yourself,
Completely agree. And then go ahead and move on to we're talking about Bellator, and we kind of shifted with PFL So let me pop that up for us because there's more PFL stuff to talk about. John Jones, I'm better than Francis Ngannou, but no need to beef if there's no fight. So this was at one of the PFL shows because John
Why
Jones
was
has a
he
training partner.
there?
That was John Jones has a
Oh,
training partner,
okay.
so he was there supporting him.
But I mean, it takes a lot for John Jones to make an appearance on anything that's not UFC. It's like, what is he doing there? But I guess
Or court related.
yeah, that. But also, I think there was a big incentive for him to show up because Francis Ngannou was there.
Probably that it keeps both of their names in the news because look, even we're talking about it. So it's to keep up with the Joneses, literally in the way of the saying. But
Right.
yeah, there shouldn't be a beef if they're never going to fight.
Do you think there's a beef? I don't think there's a beef. I feel like they want to.
I don't think there's a beef. I think there's people are looking into it more than there's really worth. It's like the East Coast West Coast beef when that happened.
Yeah,
that was
also,
mostly fueled by speculation.
Yeah, but also, I mean, the way things worked out, they just happened to miss each other, or they didn't have to fight in UFC, which is unfortunate. Things happen the way they do, whatever. But it's like you still have these people that are like, oh, is that on purpose? Or yeah, what a shame that they're not going to fight, even though that would have been the toughest fight, supposedly, for either of them,
It says at the end of the event, the two heavyweights crossed paths cage side. Jones and Ngannou shook hands and shared a few competitive yet respectful words. You don't want no smoke, Jones told Ngannou. And then he said, no, you sat back for 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. See, all that missed opportunity there is going to be brought up.
Lots of missed opportunity. Because can you imagine the heavyweight bout that like would have produced for the UFC? I think that would have been one of the biggest pay-per-views. Not ever, but one of their top 5 pay-per-views.
Well, I think I also thought people were interested in Jones going up to heavyweight because of that fight, because of Francis Ngannou. And then Ngannou went on this weird tangent of not accepting fights or contracts from anybody. So, I don't know. I don't think Francis wanted that fight with John Jones. I don't know if John Jones wanted that fight with Francis. I don't think either of them really planned on fighting each other for whatever reason.
I have to agree with that. And then let's go ahead and move on to our next story that we got. What's up with Conor McGregor?
Yeah, good question.
Like hearing about him and his extracurricular activities going on at the NBA Finals, bro. Because first he punched the mascot and got in trouble for that.
Well, wasn't that scripted? Was he supposed to do that or no?
I'm sure so much of it was, but then you're also telling a fighter like, "Hey, punch me!" Like,
yeah, I don't know. I don't, and I haven't watched the NBA in a really long time anyway, so I'm not interested in whatever's going on with them. I didn't know Conor McGregor was even there, made an appearance. What is he doing there? Is it for like a halftime show?
I have no idea why he was there, but it might have been to promote The Ultimate Fighter.
Maybe. But yeah, who knows? I mean, he could do whatever he wants. He can do whatever event, but
because the finals were on ESPN, so ESPN Plus. There you go.
Yeah, good point. And I didn't look into like why he punched the guy. I think he was supposed to. I think that was supposed to be like a skit.
I think it was supposed to be in fun, but it turned out to be more of a.
But I mean, did he really punch him? I mean, he went. Obviously, they said the guy went to the ER. But I'm like, what was supposed to happen?
Not the guy going to the ER.
You're asking an Ultimate Fighter to punch you?
You're watching. Yeah, you're asking somebody who fights professionally.
Yeah.
Just punch me. I'll be all right.
But
clearly
also,
you weren't. You went to the emergency room, dum-dum.
Do you think they thought McGregor was going to go lightly or something, though? Because maybe he didn't.
Right. But also, Conor McGregor being at the NBA Finals caused some more issues. Video shows Conor McGregor led alleged sexual assault victim into the bathroom at the NBA Finals game. which we did watch the video before the show, and it looks like that he's just like, oh, hey, and then they go back. So who knows what happened? Hopefully everything will get flushed out and the truth will come to light. I would like to think that this isn't true, but you never know.
Is that him going into the bathroom?
Yes, that was him leading the apparent victim into the bathroom. And why was she even going into the men's restroom anyways? Come on now.
Yeah, but also, I don't know, were they trying to get away from people?
Well, there's a huge crowd right there, so.
Okay, you could argue without knowing anything.
There's some, we don't have, like, yeah, that's the thing. We don't have a lot of clear details about what was going on, but that is just something that happened. There happens to be a little bit of video of the victim and him prior to what prior to what has said to have happened by the victim.
You know what's funny is like they want to follow McGregor around so closely with a camera, but once he goes into the bathroom, what is it? Just all stop. It just all stopped.
Well,
went into the bathroom.
But there's also a ton of people standing there. Like, I don't know if anyone prevented it. Like, if he had his own security there, if they had security there to prevent people from just flooding the bathroom.
I don't know. And
why would you want to follow a person like that into the bathroom anyways? Fucking weird.
But also he pushes a girl in there. It's like, okay, obviously there's no rules anymore, with that. So it's like, what is such a rowdy media crowd gonna do to like, oh, he went into the bathroom, we have to stop now. That's true. It's like, where are your morals anyway? It's like you follow him around that closely anyway, but he went into the bathroom. No thanks.
Right.
But also,
no, we're good.
I don't know. Did this girl call the cops or something? Is there a report or what is this?
We'll find out as more comes to light. Right now, we just have the allegations. And like if there's like an official police report where this was a thing, okay. But as of right now, it just seems like maybe this girl was trying to hang out with him, got pushed into the bathroom, and then it's a problem. I don't know. Yeah, no, completely agree. Completely understand. We also need to talk about, since we didn't have a show last week, let me pop that up also. Amanda Nunes has retired from MMA. And Cyborg made a comment saying she's not surprised by Amanda Nunes' retirement, but disappointed that the rematch won't happen.
I'm not surprised that she retired.
Same.
Also,
where do you go?
Where is this rematch supposed to happen, though?
It's true, because Cyborg's never going back to UFC.
No.
Yeah, where does that happen? Who knows? Would this be an amazing fight? A rematch? Yeah. Because you literally have.
Maybe she's just inclined to say that because she's a fighter and has pride. Oh, she retired. Oh, too bad we're not going to fight. But when they were both. Could be.
But you literally have the number 1 and number 2 best female fighters. Yeah. I'll say this ever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's always going to be that back and forth between them because you did have Cyborg as number 1 for so long until Nunes came out and beat her and then beat others.
Until all the other women was like, oh, I could do this too. For a while, no one wanted to do it. No women wanted to do it. But then once those doors, with Ronda Rousey and all that got opened, then it was like a floodgate of women trying to do that. And then you have the 2 veterans. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not surprised that Amanda Nunes retired though. I mean, she could do whatever she wants. I don't know why anyone would. I don't know if anyone's blaming her for retiring or if they say she's running. According to Juliana Pena, who found this new hobby of hers to run her mouth all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's true. Pena did make her little comment after Nunes retired. which is like, come
I
on,
don't know.
really?
I mean, you got knocked out by someone. I don't think that means you scared them into retirement. I think they think you're not worth it because they've already beaten you, you know? Where she's making the argument like, oh, she's scared. Like, scared of what? She finished you. Although you did catch her on a night where she didn't do very good, or who knows what happened there. But they had the rematch and she knocked her out. So I don't think you get to say you scared anyone at that point.
Very true. Like, you scared her into retirement? I highly doubt that.
And she's been around for a very long time where you were not. You decided to go do other life things rather than, you know, she had a baby. So, you know, and no one heard from her from a very long time. It's like, you decided to do that. She decided to do this, and that's why you're there, and that's why she's here. I don't think you can say you scared her. She was
no, not at all. I think she's doing that to run her mouth, like just to get some hype behind her.
Yeah, but she was plenty available when you were not. You know,
that's it. And
it's like, if she wants to come back now and make a statement in the UFC and be number one, then do it. But don't, you know, just move on.
All right, then we got another story to cover. Something from Glory. That's another company that me and you have discussed because you're a bigger fan than I am.
I love Glory.
It because you're more of a striking practitioner more so than I am. But I, of course, enjoy combat sports, so I want to catch it. They don't promote very well in the States because I understand they're not very popular in the States, but yet it's hard for us fans to even know when they're going to have events because they never promote them.
I mean, you got to follow their page. You got to really do some digging to make sure you know about what's going on and when it goes on. They're huge in Europe, so their arenas are huge. They built a whole arena for one fight against Badr Hari and Rico Verhoeven a couple times. So they're huge over there. Their stadiums are sold out. And it's really exciting, but over here they don't promote it here. I know one of their last events, I believe, was in Colorado or something like that, which I think did well. I watched it. It was good. But they're huge in Europe. I don't know if they even care to be big in the US at this point because of
I think they've tried at different points, but it never really stuck.
I don't know why it didn't. I mean, all those fighters are good. You have the most exciting heavyweight fights in the world in that organization. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to single yourself out and stay in Europe, I guess that's who you have to cater to. Maybe they have something in Europe where they cater to those guys a little more than they do here.
Probably.
They just get the scraps, you know? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I've also heard that they went bankrupt a couple times. I don't know.
I have too. I've heard that as well. All right. But yeah, this story, though, for Glory is that the referee was floored by a hard right hand while trying to separate the main eventers. It was Tariq Asaro versus Antonio Plazabat.
Uh-huh.
And as you can see on the screen, I will show you the video of what happened. They're going at it.
Has the perfect game plan thus far, and they're still the refs out.
The fight ends and the referee steps in and just happens to get clocked.
Yeah, but the fight's over, which is hilarious. Gosh, I've never seen that happen like that in recent history, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like that doesn't happen too often in
that poor ref.
Not Bellator, excuse me.
Guys. But that's the danger of being a ref, though. You have to get in there because those guys will keep fighting. Some people will just keep fighting even though the bell rang, and it's your job to separate them. But if you're like this little guy in between two heavyweights, I don't know what you can do.
Yeah,
the only thing
exactly. Well, that's what he learned. He found out. He was like, "Okay, I'm going to do it."
Well, I mean, yeah, he was ready. Like, he was putting his hand in there, and then when you have this wild exchange at the very last 2 seconds, it's like, good luck.
That's it.
I mean, it happens.
Well, that was it for us. Sorry we didn't have the interview like we had set up for. I will reach out to him and see if we can't get him on a later edition of the MMA Mainstream Podcast. We'll definitely work on that. I've reached out to the Valley Fight Series to talk about their team jiu-jitsu. They have an event coming up in early August, so we will hopefully get somebody from the promotion on to discuss more of that and what they're doing as well for amateur MMA in the Central Valley, because there's quite a few shows going on. And so, of course, we want to feature everything that we possibly can, because we appreciate combat sports and we do love our MMA. So that's going to do it for us. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.